All right. Yes.
No,
So,
okay, I had to leave in a second, but you can see me and everything.
yeah, we can see you fine. How are you doing, Sensei? How's things going on
I'm
today?
doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Yeah, I thought I was connected the whole time, but everything was loading. It's just technical
Right.
difficulty. Appreciate everyone for your patience.
It's gonna be that I already told him. I told him before. I was saying, "Hey, you're gonna be the guinea pig. We're gonna see how this works." And
Yeah.
then so it's always gonna just go up from here. So let me do a quick introduction of Shui. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. How do we pronounce your name? You want to say it to everybody?
Shui, just like feng shui, just shui. Shui.
Shui. There we go. And Shui, where are you based?
I'm based out of Costa Rica, San Jose.
Wow, awesome. Okay, Costa
Yeah.
Rica. Okay. Must be nice over there. What's the weather like?
It's winter time, so it's a chilly 70 degrees.
Oh, of course. Terrible, horrible, horrible, horrible. So, guys, Sensei Sui, he has spent 5 years studying cryptocurrency, and he has like a really intimate relationship um, between our mindset and the outcome of our investments. He's trying to showcase that, and he teaches that. So, before he was a retirement specialist, and then he moved into crypto, believing in crypto's power for the future, the things that you can do with it. And I believe that we all have done the same. A lot of us are obviously in this group because we believe that these are things that can change our lives. They can be really life changing. We have seen a lot of that in the crypto and the NFT space and in the metaverse, and this is the future. So learning all about this is really important. Sensei Sui is able to break down a lot of crypto very easily because this stuff can be intense. Like I've had to spend months on months just studying and just understanding. I personally myself, I've been in crypto since 2017. When I bought Bitcoin at $1,000, I wish I had bought more, and at that time, I wasn't even able to buy a full coin without caring about it. But I was like, let me buy something in there. And then the more I did, the more I went, I saw the value in it and go up, And if I had certain knowledge, I'm sure that I would have bought more and I would have been way more involved with it. So, Sensei, you're going to have to help us learn about a little bit more. I'm sure that there's a lot of us here that are crypto experts, but there's always something that we can learn. And then there's also people who may be new to the space that we can learn some stuff about. So take it away.
So just to let everyone know, I'm going to be more catering to beginners and then going more from there. But I first do want to introduce myself and tell a little bit more about my story, about where I came from, how I even got into this space in the first place. Because yes, he mentioned I was a retirement specialist, but I'm born and raised in Houston, Texas. I was an Olympic level swimmer. That's what I did. I lived in Amsterdam for a little bit. And then after I graduated, you could say through the matrix, the normal programming of going to school, I went into retirement specialist. But before I started doing that, my friend that was working for a future tech finance firm in Amsterdam in 2016 was like, yo, you got to buy Bitcoin. I was like, wait, what is this stuff? I just heard about it in the hallways in middle school. And she got me into Bitcoin, and I was grateful that she did. However, once I was working as a retirement specialist to let people know what I was doing, I was working with 403bs, 401ks, the traditional thing, Roth IRAs. You might not know what any of that stuff means, but what that is they say the traditional method of it's like, hey, save for your future, set aside 10% of your income so you'll be okay in the future. And what was interesting is the interest rates that I was promising, I was doing fixed index annuities. And so fixed index annuities are what like Tony Robbins and a lot of these wealth people talk about, like, hey, this is the secret, fixed index annuities. But what most people don't know is that the percentage that you'll be getting on a return most often is anywhere between like 4 to 7%. And that's very aggressive. For people who don't know, the inflation rate in the United States last year was 6.5%. So even though people's numbers in their bank account looked like they were growing, the purchasing power for what you could actually buy with it decreased. I started to become aware with this while I was in the space, and I really felt like I was honestly lying and cheating all of my clients because I was saying, hey, I could give you 4%, hey, I could give you 5%. But I'm like, wait, they keep printing money more and more. And everything I learned in school like is coming true. I had an international studies professor on the first day of school. He said two things. One, in 2030, this is in 2013, he said in 2030, China's going to be the economic leader of the world. And two, buy Bitcoin. And he let class out an hour early that day. Now I'm going to go into this presentation a little bit, and then I'm going to break off from the script just because I really want to be able to connect and let people know where everything. So let me, and bear with me, you know, y'all are seeing everything go on here. So let me get this started, and I really hope that this is saved. Because also my computer, I would be doing this on my computer, but my computer has been started acting weird today. But I just want to talk about like what is conscious crypto, even if you've never heard of Bitcoin before. But the main thing is, and if you have a notebook, please write this down. But the first thing that I always ask people within classes, within personally, within any conversation is, why do you want to get into crypto? Is it because you have family you want to help? Do you want to retire your parents? Do you want to give back to them? Did you go the school route and you're in a ton of debt? Or financial freedom? And that's one thing for financial freedom. I really like to raise this question because I see financial freedom, and I teach about this as something different. I truly don't believe that financial freedom is something like, oh, you make enough money, you could do stuff. No, financial freedom is being free of any government to be able to dictate the value of what your money is. Because say you have $1 million, right? One of the biggest statements I like to say, my sayings is, millionaires are the new middle class, because in 2030, $1 million is going to buy what $100,000 does today, because inflation is going to get insane. 40% of the money that was printed last year is in supply. So if you're going to ask about, okay, how much is the money supply, or how much money is floating around the United States? For every dollar, if you have $10, $4 of those dollars was printed in 2021. And I also like to ask people, what do you know about cryptocurrency besides, oh, I can get it on Coinbase or crypto.com or Binance and I'll make a whole lot of money. But do you truly know why this stuff was created? And to go a little bit more into it, I like to say, like, why crypto? For everyone here, we all can agree it's the future of money, but I like to say fiat is going away. For people who don't know what fiat is, fiat, that word means of decree or something official. So fiat money, when we're saying that, means some type of money that is issued or made of approval. So you see dollars, yen, pounds, euros, etc. So on this note, what I find really interesting and I like to teach and expand people's minds with is, I wouldn't say fiat's going away, but rather fiat is going to transform into what we would call a CBDC, or central bank digital currency, which is going to give a government full authoritarian control over your money and full oversight, very similar to how your bank accounts work now, but just that much more transparent on the blockchain. I like to say this stuff is the future of payments because how easy it is for even us to invest in NFTs with the Camel. It's not like we had to put in our physical address. We had to put in a phone number. We had to put in the email. You had to put in your name before you got your information. I like to say crypto and all these methods are more secure than banks because it protects the consumer first. If you look at something like a check, you know, like our parents would probably use, or if you might remember this back in the day, on a check, it has your name, your address, your routing number, your checking number, and your phone number all on this one piece of paper, which, you know, someone could use to take someone's identity. But as for now, things are much more secure within the space of crypto. And I know I'm being really vague here because I really want to open the space for questions and have time for that. But I really want to stress on this part because this is something I feel like within not just the crypto space, but within the world, people don't realize how serious this is, right? To keep fiat very simple, I like to say it's paper money that is no longer backed by gold, right? At least in the United States, it was backed by debt ever since 1971. If you're like, wait, what does that mean? Pull out a dollar bill if you're in the United States. I'm kind of catering to that market right now. But if you're in the United States, pull out a dollar bill or a 20 and look to the left of the president or the dead person's face that tells you, and now we have this here where we literally give, assign IOU notes or debt to each other. But the main thing, especially when what we see happening in the United States and honestly throughout the world, is inflation, right? Inflation, I like to say, is the way governments or the true wealthy steal from the poor, right? And how does this work? Because we're all taught that, oh, have a savings account, save away 10% every paycheck, have a rainy day fund. Yes, I used to be in this industry. It is very important to do that. However, after you get past a moment of say 1 month, 3, 6 months of expenses, after that, your money is literally losing every single day if it's not growing. And especially now, how I truly feel, it needs to change form because we're overdue for a serious inflation, very like what happened in Venezuela, what happened in Nigeria, what happened in Zimbabwe, what's happened in several other countries. Even here in Costa Rica, we've experienced it here. I like to give this note with a $20 bill. Right in the 90s, a $20 bill, $20 would feed a family. Now $20 is what you spend at a dinner without an appetizer, but people's are still getting paid exactly the same. And then I like to bring it here to bring attention. And after this, I'm going to break off the script and really talk to y'all to be real for a second so you see what's going on, right? If you put your stimulus check into a savings account with a 2% interest, which is actually incredible, I'm not being sarcastic, right? The federal fund rate right now for banks is 0.1%, right? So the savings account you got at Chase Bank, or ING or Bank of America, whatever you have, is paying you 0.1%, right? So if you get 2%, that's very competitive, right? 2% within the bank, you'd be at a little over $1,402. I know I haven't updated my numbers. I'm having some technical difficulties, but even still here, in March, if you put into Ethereum, you would have 10.36 Ethereum. But say even now with the dip, you'd be sitting on a little bit more than 30 grand. But this is when I like to kind of break it out from the script to really like.
Oh, that was the good part. You just showed that. Yeah, guys, that's really amazing. I think that we learned a lot right now. Shui is going to pop back in, but if you guys have any questions, again, please put them in the seminar questions. I know he was running through a lot of them really quickly. But we're going to have him pop on.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah. So, and the thing is where I really wanted to like really end the things out on is it's not about, oh, if you invest in this, you would have 30 grand. The whole thing is about 2 years ago, $1,400 would buy 10 Ethereum. Now, even in the retracement in the market we've experienced, you can't even buy one. Right. So we're seeing this currency use for the internet continue to appreciate where the money that we've been using all the time is continuing to depreciate. But when I'm speaking about conscious crypto and when it gets different, it's the one thing people don't talk about that like literally like every single book. Let me just get something off of my bookshelf real quick. Like, for example, like money books like this, You're a Badass at Making Money, things like Think and Grow Rich, things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all these books we always hear about. What's the one thing that you almost don't hear any of these other crypto people talking about? Your mindset. Like that's everything. That is your financial thermostat to how much you're going to make. Like you can make a bunch of money in some of these cryptos, but if you don't upgrade your mindset, you will sabotage yourself. If you do not change your 9-to-5 mindset, you will return to a 9-to-5. That's just the reality of the situation. And this is how we need to get focused on. And how do I know this? Because I'm going to be very honest within here, right? In March of last year, I started with like Ethereum. I got one Ethereum at like 500 something. And then it gets about 1,200. I got into Dogecoin at underneath the cent. I wrote that out, moved it into SafeMoon and Dogecoin. I made about 30, 40 grand. But what did I do? My mindset wasn't at that level, so I sabotaged myself. So I did not realize these gains, right? Instead, I saw this go out the door, or rather, just look at my screen while everything just continued to wither in front of my eyes, right? Because my consciousness, my awareness, my belief system, my subconscious was still not yet to that thermostat to be able to handle that. And that's one of the main things that we teach here in Conscious Cryptocurrency is that awareness to get your mind up to that caliber at the same time of the skill sets. And one of the things that I really want to offer people here is one thing that now we're working on that's actually functioning now is crypto trivia, where as you get to learn through these classes, you get paid for getting the answers right in BNB. Like, yes, that is a true thing. If you're interested, add me on Discord, message me at Sensei Shui, and then I could really share more of this opportunity and information with you because it really is about like a play to earn, right? Because if we're going to look about trends, in 2020, it was DeFi, right? Last year, 2021, it was NFTs. This year's play to earn. I'm telling you, there's a play to earn crypto learning, and reach out to me to learn more about that. And now we could open it up for questions, Swerve.
Awesome. So that was a that was a lot indirectly, and I thank you so much for giving us just a little taste of what you have. We're gonna have a lot of people just if you have any questions, put them in. But I want to start out with my first one. So for me, I am, and some of you guys may not know, but uh, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also a stuntman based here in Los Angeles. And
Cool.
I've come from that, and I graduated with an entrepreneurship degree and a minor in Japanese. So I was in business, and always my mindset has been I'm not going to work for anybody else. I'm going to work for myself. And if I have to work for somebody else, it's going to be very short term, And with the industry, being a stuntman or an actor or a dancer or anything, we already have that mindset of not having a 9 to 5, and we're more like freelancers. I work on big movies for months, but at the end of the day, after that movie's done, I'm unemployed again. So a lot of the time I'm working always constantly, even when I'm not actually working. So I'm working on building my resume. I'm putting my videos together. I'm working on other projects, etc. I'm sure that most of us have that. Now, the thing is, teaching that to other people is I personally haven't been able to find success in that. My ex, I had brought her in, and I had her do some modeling into the industry, etc. But even over 2 years, I couldn't find a way in order to switch her mindset from that 9 to 5 stability mindset. And that's what a lot of people really who have these regular jobs, which is fine, totally fine. If it's their passion, that's great. But if it's not, a lot of them take it because of the stability of it in order to be able to take care of their future goals. And again, she loved it when we were up, but when we were down, it was a very hard process for me. I was like, oh, it's what it is, and I'm sure a lot of us deal with that in the investment game. But I'm also seeing, again, obviously in this NFT space, you see people who are flooding. They're like, oh my gosh, the floor went down like a couple of days in a day, or they get a huge NFT project that they got whitelisted for, and they finally get it, and they think they're going to get rich. And then in a day, the floor goes below mint price, and then they start going crazy, and then they flip because they're like, oh, it's out. That's the short-term mindset, kind of, because they can't really deal with the instability. And I know a lot of rich people, they look in the 5-year, 10-year plan mindset. Do you believe that it's like, obviously you do, but how do you navigate being able to change that feeling of I need stability in my life versus I can take these risks and understand that it may have big payoff or shouldn't happen?
Yeah, so one of the things too is, first I want to speak to 9 to 5s. It's a great plan if you're doing something that you love, that you're passionate about. I want to first thing, I'm not down talking 9 to 5s at all. It's a great method for some people. But when it gets into changing minds, it's not about changing a mind. That almost doesn't work. Force doesn't work. What we have to do is create a new program that makes the old one obsolete, right? When we're creating a new program or a new mental model that makes, this 9 to 5 type of thing, or what, not even 9 to 5, whatever you were doing before or whatever way now that keeps us repeating the same shit over and over, to create something new. And my favorite way of doing that is repetition. Right. I know it's like a very old way, but the whole thing is like repetition that's backed by action. If I have the journal in here with me, then I'll definitely, okay, that one's not in here and I'm not going to go searching. Ooh, is that it right there? But the main thing I wanted to show is like, I'm massive on like having people create a vision statement, right? Creating a vision statement is something that's actually in alignment with what you want to create. Because think about it. Everyone here, even the phone or the computer in your hand, once was a thought that then is manifested into reality. I know that sounds like, okay, let me, like, for people who aren't in that space, like, okay, someone thought about it and then they drew it on a piece of paper and they put it on render software and then they communicated to a manufacturer and then they put everything in and they shipped it out and now it's in your hand, right? Those are the steps of a thought being manifested into reality for something that we're holding right now. Likewise, that's just how this reality works. Everything we're in was really once a thought. Like, think about it. 1,000 years ago, what we're at would be a forest or a jungle or a desert or something, until people actually got their perception to make that. And the thing is, that's how it always works for everything. The thing that shifts, and I'm speaking about consciousness, the awareness of how to keep a trajectory of thought through time. And that's why I love repetition, to get someone clear in that emotional space, to create a vision, to craft a vision for their life, listen to it when they sleep every night on a track, and then find something to write out and repeat to themselves. And then start with the D word, discipline, right? Find something really small and like acting on that to teach themselves. Because the reality of like I wouldn't call it a 9 to 5 mindset, but I'd rather say the dependency, right? Thinking money's real, money's fake. It doesn't exist. Read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Fake. It's not real. It's a thought. It's just a symbol of value that we give to each other. The differences between the wealthy and the poor. The wealthy know money's not real. You could create shit. Look at cryptocurrency. Like, people literally created it, and now it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry off some code on a screen. It's the value that people are able to have connect. Once we start to realize this and we focus on value creation, and we not trusting, like, have to rely and give our power to like, oh, well, this thing is how I stay safe. Rather, like, no, my safety and security is what I produce. My safety and security is what I know and sticking to it. As you know, too, like in those downtimes, this is like, okay, let me continue forward and maintain my vision. And then you always come out of it, right? So when it's not about changing someone's mind. It's more about creating a new program to make this other one obsolete. Because what is one thing that really got me in this mode, right? I used to do sales for Hugo Boss. It was the janitor that makes, $10 an hour. My dad making about 6 figures, and a guy fitted for the suit that made more money than he knew what to do with. They all said the same thing in one day. What was that? I just want my time back, right? It didn't matter if the guy was a lawyer making $2,000. It didn't matter if I was there. They were not making money unless they were physically away from their families and all the people they care about to do it. And that's the things within crypto, within all these other things, and with some mindset to realize, like, we're not really making money until we're making money while we're sleeping. And I'll be straight honest, I am, but it's not in that like, oh. But the thing is, I've started some of these, and I love to teach people how to get it started, because that's the one thing that you're talking about earlier that people don't like. Patience. Like, that's the reality of the situation. People want to flip right away, not realizing, like, things would have gone. And one of my favorite sayings too, even with Bitcoin, is like, people don't got Bitcoin. I'll ask you, do you remember the unlock code for your phone from 10 years ago for your old phone? Do you remember the code to unlock it?
I hope not, because that makes
your iPhone 4 from 2010. If you remember the code to lock your phone, you would probably remember your password to get your Bitcoin. So if we didn't do it, we just save ourselves of being those people who are frustrated that they have millions of dollars of Bitcoin that they can't remember the password for. Because guess what? That would have been a whole. Yes. Being thankful that happened, that we have the awareness, because we're still so early to this game. But the thing is that we have to realize the space to actually go is in the mindset aspect, because just like anything in crypto, yoga, working out, and food, it's a rabbit hole of information. So I like to say within crypto, find the niche that you love and then become an expert at it, dial into it, really know that. But at the same time, level up your mindset, because if you don't level up your mindset, your thermostat's always already going to be in the same place. That autopilot's always going to kick back in if we don't consciously raise it by what, again, like I'm saying, working with the subconscious mind, or those beliefs that we've been given since we've been children.
Yeah, that man, you've been dropping bombs like that.
Yeah, that's what I told you. Like, take notes.
And it's really obvious that you're passionate about it. I don't know if we have, like, I'm trying to like keep up with like one subject to the other, but that's great. One thing that stuck out to me was the value creation, and that's exactly what it is. It's we give these coins value, we give paper money value, we give these NFTs value. It's the people that believe it's value. That's the reason why it's valuable. And that's what we're trying to do, obviously, with the Evolved Camels. That's what we give utilities to our project, and we want to make it so that it is a valuable thing for our holders to use. All right, so let's jump into some of these questions. The first one we got from Curry7. He said, how does DeFi help blockchains?
How does DeFi help blockchains? Man, we're going in the deep end. So it's like, yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, let's try to keep some of the responses. I know that there's a huge rabbit hole that we can go down but I do want to get to as many questions as we can. And of course, guys, just a second. I know that there's been a lot of information dropped, but feel free to put your seminar questions in. We're going to try to take about 20, 30 more minutes for the questions, and or unless anybody else doesn't have any questions. So yeah, let's hop into this. So DeFi and blockchain. Well, maybe we define it.
Blockchains, for people who don't know what that means, DeFi means decentralized finance. So you're basically getting the mechanisms and the authority from a centralized authority, say like a bank. So before we get into DeFi and blockchains, we need to learn how traditional finance works, for TradFi, right? How it traditionally works is the banks have the oversight, the control, and the approval of your money, right? So a bank can give you, for example, all 20, 30, I don't even know how many people on this call, go to the same bank, we're going to all get a different loan rate at a different interest rate, and even a different treatment when we walk into the front door, right? That's just the reality of the situation. And then always they could refuse, right? Or they could turn off. Or say, you're in California, if someone has a business in the magic green space, if they had the same business in Texas, right? They actually can't put their money in the bank or get a business loan for that, right? So it's very limited by the central authority, right? So people need to realize that it's within the traditional financial system, it's not just some of the things, but it's funding is not as transparent and straightforward. It is very different, and a lot of hoops skipped in to be real nepotism, or you have to know who you know, right? When you go into DeFi, all those mechanisms then get put into the code. So if you qualify, then you get to be able to receive the funding. And I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on DeFi, but just to answer that question simply, how DeFi helps blockchains is because DeFi requires compliance in the way of DAOs and governments to actually get people to participate in the system. So when I would say that, and of course, I'm straight up, I could be very wrong from this, because DeFi was my thing last year, but I haven't really stayed into it. I dive into NFTs now. But how I'd say DeFi helps blockchains within my perception right now is because it encourages participation in the blockchains, and it creates, you could say, more nodes through the transactions interacting at that point in time. That's really all I say, because I will just and this is another thing, after that, I don't know, because that's one thing in the crypto space. I'll watch a Gary Vee video that made me be you know what, I'm going to be that person, right? He's a lot of people just Web2, they'd be talking out their ass without saying, I actually don't know the full answer to that question. That's not my area of expertise, right? How I would say is how DeFi helps blockchains is because DeFi, for it to work, especially if you're doing any type of bridging, requires for people to participate and put money in the pool on both sides. So if you're getting being a Binance pegged Ethereum or something, well, there has to be someone with Ethereum and Binance to then give you, right? If there's not people participating in the system, you're not going to be able to get anything out. So I would say it helps blockchains because by its own nature, it succeeds by people participating in it actively.
So then, and this leads actually great into Great Ape's question then. And feel free, if you say that you don't know the answer to it, feel free not to. But what do you personally think? What is the point DeFi works against the growth of blockchains?
Works against the growth of blockchains because whether people like it, say why it works against the growth of blockchains, I would say it's because at the end of the day, the ones that function best are such more centralized blockchains. So it's not against blockchains, but it encourages blockchains to operate centrally rather than this magic of decentralization, right? Because it just makes it a much harder equation, less efficient, and especially what you see that gets tossed away, the S word, security, right? That's just kind of the reality of the situation. It makes certain transactions more secure, but when you're speaking about finance and trackability and of course accountability and not having people that run away with things and track it, that's why XRP is used by Bank of America and MoneyGram, where they're moving into DeFi because it's a centralized blockchain, right? And that's just what I'm seeing is happening. And even when you look at DeFi protocols, most of them are a lot more centralized than people think. Like I was doing a little bit of research into it, and I'm like, whoa, a lot of this stuff is like maybe the central hole or the pool. Well, the pool is at some centralizing in someone's wallet, and some things still do require, especially for bridging as of now, like a person to actually, or an entity or a protocol, not just code, be like, okay, well, we're going to move from here to here to here. At least from the research I've been doing. Of course, I could be wrong, but that's why I would say why I could be against blockchains, not against blockchains, but against decentralized blockchains. And rather, especially as you see more of traditional finance move into cryptocurrency, it's going to encourage, I honestly say the low key, the diamond cage of a centralized blockchain.
Right. And it all just becomes, like you said, it becomes about being secure in your investment. Of course, right now you were talking about we bought Ethereum 2 years ago and we would have had 30 grand today. I don't want to lose that. And so I'm going to look at the biggest name that I see. We hear Coinbase or crypto.com or whatever, and it may not be the best. A lot of people were getting on Robinhood for crypto because they were already trusting the name and they were like, oh, okay, let me try that. Or even, what is it?
Can I talk on that on a second? Because that's one thing to talk about. Because that's one within conscious cryptocurrency bringing awareness to like these exchanges, Robinhood and I believe eToro, if they're still that. You do not own crypto. You really don't own it. Like even if you're trading it, you're trading oh my goodness, the name just escaped my mind. But basically, you're trading like it's like a paper trade. So if you notice, you try to cash out of Robinhood, you can't transfer your Dogecoin from Robinhood to Coinbase. You can only cash out in dollars. Oh, it's called a CFD, a certificate of deposit, right? Because you actually you're not owning currency. It's just like a ticker that's like an index with it. You actually don't own it if you're Robinhood or eToro. That's level one. Level two, Coinbase, Binance, crypto.com, these centralized exchanges, right? You also don't own it, right? Because if not your keys, not your crypto, right? I like to say it's the equivalent. If you have gold, like physical gold, but your gold's at the bank, and you still need to go to the teller, ask for approval, and have them give you the key to go into your safe to open it. But they could always tell you, oh, the bank's closed today. Oh, sorry, we're down for maintenance. To not have access to it, and then still the oversight and on, this is not financial advice, but like also we'll always be reporting you for every single move for taxes, especially Coinbase, because they are the very first publicly traded crypto company in the United States with the SEC and the IRS, some of the most aggressive tax entities in the world, right? Step three, you got your non-custodial exchanges like MetaMask, like Trust Wallet, right? Where you own the keys or your key phrase, which, by the way, you never, ever, 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 ever give to anyone ever in life. And do not screenshot it because text recognition does exist. But in those, that's where I like to say you have more freedom. You get into MetaMask and you have your cold wallets, right? One thing about cold wallets like Ledger and Treasure that I feel like people need to talk about that, they don't want to hear, like it's very safe and secure, except for the point it's a physical item, and be conscious of humidity, be conscious of like forgetting where it is. And then the third thing is your charger. Because good luck finding an iPhone 4 charger. Think about in 50 years when Bitcoin's $1 million and people realize like, oh, you can't find a charger for a USB like B type anymore because that doesn't exist, and you got to go to some dude to get it. Like, just really think ahead of things about like where we could be going, or the risk of like technology making technology obsolete. So the ledger you actually can't access anymore. Very similar, like people who got Bitcoin back in the day, but just have a piece of paper with a private key. Like, let's think about that and see how the space is evolving. And that's another thing too within crypto I'd like to talk about. Stay learning, and don't just buy it, hold, and don't learn more. Keep learning because this space is changing so much. Like even within my own course, I had to update it. I had to update it 3-4 months ago, because when I started teaching it, like information was obsolete, no longer needed. So like for people who are in it, stay up to date because this stuff changes so fast that even people I've known that had Binance, right? They weren't aware in the United States, weren't aware of the switch, and so they went in for KYC when Bitcoin was at 64K. Got flagged, and guess what? They have 3 Bitcoin, but they can't access them. They're forever locked out of their account because Binance.com is no longer allowed in the United States. But they didn't know that because they're like, oh, I'm just going to buy this and wait and hold. but stay updated with how I see the biggest risk in cryptocurrency: governments, right? So just stay aware of that, guys. Like, that's the biggest risk. It's not this in crypto. It's like, hey, is it going to be legal for me to access this? You know?
Yeah, that what you said about the charger thing really got to me, because I was like, oh yeah, like everybody's always been saying, write it down in a paper, store it in a vault or something, and then now we don't even do that. We just have it in our locked phones or something. But then now the technology will change, so will we have to continuously transfer our things over? I seen actually some other websites online that you're able to have your own wallet that is much more secure, et cetera. But it's quote unquote, what is the most secure way that we can take and keep our profits, which is the most scary thing. Can we keep it? Let's move on to Blaze's question. He actually asked, how can we prepare ourselves to take profit versus hoping a coin is going to move? A coin is going to skyrocket. And for example, a lot of people are freaking out right now because all of crypto is down, all of everything, all the money's out. But for most of us, we weathered the storm already, and we're just buying the extreme dip and just getting ready for it to go again. But for some people, they feel that it's not going to come. When would they take their profit? When would they have more belief in these coins? How do you think?
Yeah, so one of the things too, you could like scale back to get before belief in coins. And another thing that we teach in Conscious Crypto is like being aware of market cycles and how this works. Like, because it's one thing I see that the biggest mistake people make, it's like, oh my God, Ethereum, like I'm speaking in the future tense now, Ethereum just hit $5,000. Let me buy as much as I can. I'm missing out. Oh shit. Oh, Bitcoin, we're going to hit 100K. Oh, we're at all-time highs. Let me buy it. Like, thinking, because we all know buy low, sell high, but why do people buy high, sell low? Again, subconscious beliefs. That's why I addressed that first, because that's where we do it. So to talk about that first, learn market structure and how the markets work, so you can understand, like right now, how we're in a retracement. When people are in fear, okay, this is actually when I buy. When things are in hype, that's what's like, ooh, let me write this down and take a note. But then also, how do you secure profits, especially if you have a tendency to really like these shit coins or these meme coins where you really don't know? And it's a whole thing of like, have a number. Like, that's one of the systems I teach. I have a whole class that's on risk management, like determining, because risk management is different for everyone, right? You're a stunt man. There's shit you do that I would think is risky, or other thing is. But you're like, oh no, it's calculated. I know I'm going to be good. But you understand your level of risk. So first, know your level of risk management. And then two, when I say know your number, so say if you put $300 in and you're at 3K, like understand where you're at, and just bar none, not financial advice, at least take what you put in plus 10%. Like, pay yourself to at least take out your initial investment. So then you're just playing with house money, and pay yourself a little bit. If you're more aggressive, take out more. But the main thing is like to protect yourself, like, and pull it out. And, I'm not going to get into the whole stablecoin debate right now, but pull it out, put into a stablecoin or something, and then have that be your pot to then put in at times like now, right? Where you're just piling up. Instead of, oh, well, I could have. Well, of course, if you could have, well, then now we're in a place where it's like, holy fuck, I'm down. Or I saw my $200 was 20,000 and now it's at 500. What did I do? Right? What's the big word that's in the space? The G word, greed. Right? And that's one thing to keep it in check, because greed looks two ways. It could look like, oh, I'm going to have so much filthy money, I'm going to show these motherfuckers. Or like, oh, wow, like I can retire my parents and pay off their house. They've worked their ass off so long. If I only got in and I put $1,000, right? If I did that then. So I need to throw everything in now. I just need to wait. Right? But the reality is, again, the P word, the patience word, like understanding if you got in at a good time. And I like, one of the rough just things is like, if you happen to be up 10x, so like you added a zero, right? I know my math to be wrong, but if you add a zero to what your investment is, like take out your initial investment plus 10%. So it's like 10-10 rule. Like if you put in $100, you're at 1,000, take out 110, let the rest ride. Or especially, and this is one thing that most people might not agree with, but especially if people see like money that will change your life now, like I'm a big advocate of like actually, being that, because, I'm really curious if that teenager that became a millionaire from Dogecoin is still a millionaire, right? Because if he didn't invest into his mindset, it take up lottery statistics. Look up how many people who win the lottery actually keep that money for their life. Why do they not? Because they do not level up their mindset. If you have an ability where you say you put in some money and you were sitting on like 200, 300 grand, and that will literally transform your life, one, understand the tax implications in your country. And then two, I would invest like at least 20% of that into your mindset, hire a mentor, right? Like someone that you see, like find out how much it takes to work with like Tony Robbins or Bob Proctor, and like level up your mindset and then start to do what you do. So that way you can like continue to increase and then learn more about investing to keep this moving forward. Right? If someone happens to be in that situation, yes, you could help have it leave and stay, but then you're on hope. And then that place that could have changed you, that could have actually had you then learn the skills to how to make thousands of dollars rather than trust a market. Because another thing is people trust in the returns of the market more than they trust in the returns of investing in themselves. And that is something that needs to be addressed, right? Because the one thing that was recession proof is your mindset, your belief system. Right? Talk to people like for real though. Like that's the one thing that it can withstand any storm, any bear market, you and your mindset. So trusting yourself and investing in yourself rather than putting the hope into the market and the emotions of people in the world that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Great. I mean, have a ton of information that Sensei has been giving us. We have a lot of questions. I think.
Yeah, go ahead. Great.
So we'll try to get to a few more with the time that we have.
I'll be more short with these. Be more short too.
Right. Bertia asked, "What is a good place to buy cryptos?" I think Coinbase is a good one. Binance, right?
So,
do you have any other?
So to buy crypto, so it's like there's different levels to this. So because it depends on, especially with teaching and as this whole service has expanded, it does depend on what country you're in, right? So if you happen to be from some westernized country where you have a good relationship with your banking system, then like by all means, I know it sounds like I'm being hypocritical, but I like to say I'm more like a Taoist and I like to look at both sides of it because that's where the truth actually lies, right? To establish a relationship with some type of exchange. Personally, I don't like Coinbase because their market, their profit structure is based off of the fees they charge all of us. That is based about their margin and their spread. The fees to buy, to sell, to trade are so much more than any other exchange out there, right? I'm a big advocate for crypto.com, and if your country allows, Binance, right? And Voyager, if your country allows, right? Centralized exchanges.
You like KuCoin?
KuCoin, yeah, KuCoin's great too. KuCoin's great too. And then also a Lightbit for people who like to play with that. And then there's a site that's called transact.com, transak.com. And it's like a third party that you can buy your crypto and then send it into a MetaMask, right? You can send it back. Like if you're able to do that, that's, I would say, the first thing. Like if you're comfortable with how to navigate wallet addresses and you're a little bit more techie, buy through like Transact or something, send it to your MetaMask and then play and trade with it, or buy it there, send it to your Trust wallet and then play that way rather, because personally, I know like all this stuff, we're all being tracked and recorded all the time. That's just the reality of the situation. But for something, say like Trust wallet or MetaMask, yes, you can buy Ethereum through MetaMask. But one, it takes a long time. And then two, just like data wise, to me, it's a direct data trail from like you verifying yourself and connecting yourself to this anonymous wallet directly through a third party server, which that third party will be reporting, you know, so it's just being conscious of this.
So that's that. I think that we can actually even just get a list of a bunch of these different, if we have an idea. Remember, guys, that we have a lot of different other channels, and crypto is definitely one of them. So I think that even just sharing a list of different places that people would want to purchase from, aside from the ones that they're more normally comfortable with, like Coinbase or et cetera. The alternatives are great to know, and it's just about the more you know. I want to play a little game with you since we have a little bit more time, but we have quite a few questions. I'm going to try to I'm going to do a speed round of questions with you and try to do it where you have 30 seconds of a response.
Perfect. Thank you. Please give me parameters.
Okay. Yeah. So Amado says, what do you think people are going to regret financially the most when the next financial crisis happens? 30 seconds on the clock starts now.
Diversification. So when I mean diversification, not in just crypto, having physical assets as well, and then learning a skill set that doesn't depend on like a job, right? Being able to freelance your skill set, and especially in this day, just like I do, teach the knowledge and be able to create money. Like awesome. Not diversifying their logic and their skill sets. That's what people are going to regret the most.
Great. Okay. Next one is, what's the cheapest way to buy NFTs?
The cheapest way to buy NFTs, I would say like Solana, Sol Art, like SOLART, because Solana doesn't have fees. And so if you just want to like learn and like say pop your cherry without paying a $200 Ethereum gas fee, go like to the Solana blockchain to do it. Go to nftcalendar.io, find something new, or just go to Solana Art or solart.io. I believe that's the website, and buy something on Solana because there's almost no gas fees.
Awesome. Perfect. 30 seconds. Knocked it out. What do you think about NFTs as collateral, DeFi?
As collateral for DeFi, I would say using NFTs as collateral, more not as collateral, but more of a way to verify someone as who they are, or to be able to validate and confirm like identity or things like that. Not just like, oh, this NFT is collateral, here's a Bored Ape, right? But rather like, oh, here's an NFT that gives you access to this interest level as long as you hold onto this NFT that we can identify with your wallet, to be able to like almost connect someone's spending behaviors.
Awesome. Will Ethereum lose its crutch with Bitcoin and markets due to Bitcoin's huge impact on the market?
I would say not lose its crutch, but I would say it would decouple, right? Like people will be able to begin to see the value of Ethereum's blockchain that actually does things, unlike Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin, it's cool, it's great, it's amazing, but its blockchain is like a Nokia brick compared to Ethereum and Solana and Cosmos and all these other blockchains that are like super sexy.
Did you read the seminar questions? Have you been reading I didn't see you take a chance to be able to read the seminar questions because Mo gave the exact same answer in the question chat right before.
Yeah, no. So we're on the same wavelength. I'm kind of plugged in. I meditate, so kind of, things come.
Awesome. Okay, so Mo actually asked thoughts on what to look for in a DAO or forming a DAO. 30 seconds.
Thoughts to look for a DAO and forming a DAO, I think at the end of the day is like, of course, the C word, community. Community that can agree and really agree to comply together rather than individual people trying to run the show, for people to truly understand like one of the NFTs apes together strong. Because the DAO, none of these things work unless human beings, we could work together and actually agree to have shared values before we get into all the technical bullshit.
Amazing. Man, you're killing this. And question from Great Ape, and we can end it on here. What specific physical diversification would you personally go for during a financial crisis? Ooh, that's a doozy. Let me ask that again. What specific physical diversification would you personally go for during a financial crisis?
Real estate. Easy. A financial crisis at the bottom, get it. Because this is one thing I know people talk about. If you get gold or silver, depending on where you live, have those skills to physically protect what you have. I'm just going to leave it there. Amazing.
Guys, this was a great seminar from Sensei Shui. Remember to add him on socials. Check out his course. We put it in the announcements as well. Check out him across all social media. Sensei Shui, if you have any last words, please go ahead. Floor is yours.
I would say, just to end these things out, one, message me directly and let's talk if you're interested in anything, because I do definitely want to give discounts for people who are from in here for my course, for other things moving forward. And then two, regardless if you talk with me or not, please learn more and invest in your mindset. If there's one book I'm going to recommend, because I'm big on books to listen to, it's actually called Happy Pocket Full of Money. You can listen to it for free on Amazon, right? That's a directly money related one. And the second one that was given to me by another business mentor, it's called The Surrender Experiment, right? That book, I read it 10 times. And that's another thing. Instead of reading books, read book, right? You read book over and over, and you don't just know the book, it becomes you. It comes out of your pores through the vibrations of your body. You know, when you read or listen to a book 100 times, as it says in the Emerald Tablets of Philip the Atlantean, right? Like, it doesn't just say that for no reason. Like, you read these things over and over and over and over, and it becomes you. You don't just know it.
Amazing. Yo, wow, you just dropped the bomb right there at the end too. That was amazing. Really, really great stuff. I never really thought about that. Of course, you read it and then it becomes you. A lot of times we'll read through a ton of books and everybody hears the Warren Buffett, oh, I read so many books. So you think that you have to just drive through a bunch of this stuff, but are you really understanding what is being dropped? A lot of people in the self-help industry will read tons of books, but never really change anything about themselves. But if they take even one thing or one aspect and they really work on it, it becomes them, and it's repetition, practice, mindset, just like you said. Guys, really big thanks to Sensei Shui for leading out and killing our first Camel seminar. You guys, amazing. Thanks to everybody else for showing up. We're going to be doing these weekly, hopefully, and we have a lot more in store. Come back for the lottery coming up tomorrow, the Sunday lottery. You know, guys, we got to keep on giving the giveaways going. If you do not have your wallet in the chat, in the holder wallets tab, please do it so that we can get you your prize, your giveaway. And we got a lot more in store. A little bit of teaser. We got a nice collab coming up, a crazy collab coming up that we're going to be announcing very soon, very shortly in the next couple days. So we'll look out for that. Stay active in the chats. Share this, bring other people in, because guys, when there's going to be so much more knowledge drop. Guys, thank you so much. We're going to end it here. Take care. Have a great night, guys.